All right, perfect. Well, good morning, Tara. Thank you for again this opportunity to have this interview with you. I'm joined with Michael Lee, which one of my classmates. And just a quick intro here. My name is Isidro De La Rosa. I'm partnered with Michael Lee and Katrina on this particular project for our MBA class, specifically called Aim to Flourish. Which is looking to, understand on a global scale some of the initiatives that are being really discovered and some of the stories that are being celebrated amongst businesses related to innovation, right? So what we would like to do is really seek some of the solutions that you are embarking in, and some of the objectives you have to solve some of these world problems, and specifically highlighting, a particular list that's outlined by the UN called the Sustainable Development Goals, and one of the items on the list is clean water and sanitation. So we want to make sure that we are at least celebrating some of your successes, through this interview.
Cool.
Awesome. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and start off with a question. Can you tell us about your company, its overall mission, and overall objective?
Mm-hmm. So LifeStraw is a for-profit retail company. We design and sell water filtration systems for a number of different use cases. Our mission is to provide safe water globally, so that's whether you're in your home in California or for kids who are in school in Kenya, for example. We want to ensure that we have products that are appropriate, technology that's appropriate for the different contexts and different use cases.
Great.
Awesome. And do you mind if you tell us what your role with the company is?
Sure. So I'm the social impact manager. So I manage all of our humanitarian and global health and development work, as well as a lot of our diversity and inclusion work, sustainability, all of our climate issue, anything really that is related to our impact work, both on the planet and on people.
Awesome. So why did LifeStraw decide to take this, approach of having drinkable water, I guess at your fingertips, so to speak?
Yeah. So they have an interesting history. I don't know how much you know about LifeStraw. We are newly our own company. We just recently branched off of our parent company, which is called Vestergaard. Vestergaard is a public health company in Switzerland.
Okay.
And so their original product was they were a textile manufacturer, and then they started developing bed nets that were prevent malaria. And then in the early 90s, the Carter Center approached Vestergaard. They had their goal was to eradicate guinea worm disease. And guinea worm larva is found in water, so they approached Vestergaard because Vestergaard developed textiles, and they wanted Vestergaard to help them develop a filter that could filter out the guinea worm larva from drinking water.
Awesome.
So originally it was just a cloth filter that went over a water pitcher, and then they also developed a straw that had this just simple mesh filter at the end of it that could filter out the larva. So that was that's the original, the OG LifeStraw.
Yeah.
Just filtered guinea worm larva. And from there, they eventually, a few years later, developed the LifeStraw, which is our most known product, to filter out other contaminants as well, so bacteria and parasites, and some chemicals. And then from there, that sold well, and so they started developing different technologies, originally just for the outdoor space, and then a few years ago we developed and now just launched our home filter pitcher as well, so going into the home space as well it started out as a public health company. So the initial initiative was to provide safe water.
Okay, and so did a lot of the employees come with when LifeStraw left Vestergaard, did a lot of employees come with them, or how did that kind of work?
Yep, it's still the same company. It's just now we're incorporated in the United States, and no longer a branch of Vestergaard. And so who was the director is now the CEO of LifeStraw, but we have a lot more employees because we are expanding, but a lot of the same employees.
Awesome.
All right, great. Following question here. What are some of the notable accomplishments of your organization, and kind of coupled with something that you mentioned earlier regarding the diversity and inclusion space that you also operate in, how have you identified, any either more equitable or addressing some of the disparities out there related to drinkable water? How has your company been able to address some of those issues?
Sure. I think one of our biggest accomplishments that's kind of hidden and I don't think we talk about it enough is it's not on us, it's on the Carter Center, but we donate the LifeStraw guinea worm filters to the Carter Center each year. And the cases, their goal is eradication, and if guinea worm is eradicated, it will be only the second human disease to be eradicated from the planet, and only the first without a vaccine.
Awesome.
It's gone from the last 20 years. It's gone from 53 million cases. Millions of cases down to last year. There were only 53 total cases. And LifeStraw's committed to donating those filters through eradication. We also, the way our main impact program is what we call our give back program. So for each product that is sold on the retail market, a portion of that, it's around 63 cents, is given to, invested into our give back program, which provides safe water for a school child. So the way it's phrased is that for each product sold, one child gets a year of safe water. So through that give back program, we've been able to reach over 3 million kids with at least a year of safe water. And we make a commitment for 5 years for each school that we provide. In terms of DEI, I think this is it's something we're always looking to improve on. I think it's something that honestly we only just really brought to the forefront of our work kind of recently, within a year or two. And it's obviously a work in progress, as I think it is for a lot of people, but we're certainly at least thinking about it. We have policies now around our hiring processes in terms of ensuring that underrepresented groups are included in our final interview process. We have DEI workshops with our intern employees to just start these discussions. And then in terms of equitable water access and disparities in access to water, we have an entire line of products that was designed specifically for low resource settings. So these are, they're built differently to be more durable, and there are all of our purifiers. So purifiers remove bacteria, parasites, and viruses, which are a much bigger issue in a lot of low resource settings. So we ensure that we design products that are context specific.
That's great. Yeah, I think in this current environment, there's definitely a emphasis on D&I specifically, and how certain products can address some of those global issues. And it seems like some of the products, as you mentioned, some of the product lines that you have are specifically to address low income related areas to have access to drinkable water. So so kudos to the team on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess in addition to the work that your organization does, is there something that LifeStraw or suggest that the average person can do to improve drinking water globally?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, we partner with a lot of NGOs who are on the ground working towards safe, equitable access to water. You can certainly find those online. They're always looking for support, volunteers, donations. We have a fund that allows our workers to donate to our safe water initiatives. We do a lot of disaster response and emergency relief for like natural disasters and humanitarian settings. So all of the donations that come from our customers go towards those efforts. Advocacy in the U.S., there's a lot of, there's huge disparities in access to safe water. The Navajo Nation, for example, 30 to 40% of families there don't even have running water. They have no access to water in their homes, so they have to haul water, and they're often hauling water from very unsafe sources, which have been contaminated by uranium mining in the past, which have just not been cleaned out, and like a lot of the wells that they use they were dug to provide water to cattle, so you can imagine that they're not monitored for safety, and the government does essentially nothing to support that. And that's just one example.
All right. And it sounds like you were also alluding to like the LifeStraw Safe Water Fund, right? Seems like there's a lot of good work done with that initiative there. And as far as like some municipalities, whether local or foreign, just curious to know if there's anything that your team has or the organization has teamed up with to address some of those concerns. I know you talked about locally there might be some areas that you, like the Navajo Nation, you might be assisting them in ensuring that they have drinkable water. I've read Puerto Rico and some of their disasters and earthquakes that the team has also assisted them. So wondering if there's other foreign municipalities that you have reached out to.
Yeah, so we partner with a number of stakeholders for all of our programming, which often includes local government and ministries of health. Our big program in Kenya, we work directly with the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education to ensure that we're locating areas that are in need of safe water. In the U.S., we've worked with the Navajo Nation. We work with partners there. We work with a few NGOs there, and they are partnered with the health system there, the Native American health system. So we work with them. They're often very helpful since they're like closely ingrained in the communities to identify what the exact needs are and how we can support appropriately. In Puerto Rico, we've been helping with disaster response, so we work with the local government and NGOs there there's still like thousands of families who are essentially homeless because their homes have been destroyed and since the hurricanes 3 years ago and then the recent earthquakes. We work with a number of stakeholders to ensure that we're reaching the appropriate people with what understanding what the needs are there.
I actually have just a kind of a basic question, more like product based.
Sure.
So obviously the straw is once you see it, like wow, that's pretty cool, So how long would one of those straws last? Is it like would it be to replace the filter? Kind of how does that really work?
Yeah, so the straw, I don't know the details on the straw but it's dependent on how much you use it. So the way it works is it's they're pores, and so the pores they essentially catch the bacteria and parasites. So eventually, depending on how much you use it and how many parasites are in the water, that's a very basic explanation. It gets clogged, and you can tell it's needing replacement because the flow rate of the water becomes slower, and eventually it just stops. So with our products, you never have to worry about getting unsafe water through, because if it's not working, then you just won't have water through.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
But so for our humanitarian products, it's our big one, our community one, which serves about 100 people per day. We say lasts about 3 to 5 years, depending on use, before you have to replace the filter. So it's about 100,000 liters.
Wow.
Depending on how well it's maintained.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Sounds very efficient, durable. I mean, all of the above.
Yeah,
it really does.
Okay. I guess one of our, I guess we're getting to the home stretch here. Where do you see the company, 10, 15 years from now, not only from a product perspective, but also from a, activism, community-oriented group? Seems like you guys are definitely developing that arm. Just curious to see, where do you see the company years from now?
Yeah. From the retail side, we're known as an outdoor filtration company, but we're definitely expanding into the home space. For me, working on the more humanitarian side, I am trying to work with our R&D team. So most of our humanitarian impact work has been globally, where the water contaminants issues are usually microbiological, so bacteria and parasites and viruses. In the U.S., the water contaminant issues are very different. There's a lot of lead, arsenic, as I mentioned, uranium, nitrates, and we don't have the appropriate technology right now to address that at a large, either at all, like uranium, arsenic, our current filters do not filter, and then lead, which, for example, is a huge issue in homes for young kids and in school water systems. We only have small products. We don't have large products that can filter out these more chemical contaminants. So I'm hoping in the next 5 to 10 years we have products that are large scale filtration systems that can address the issues that are found in U.S. water. I also think, especially as we grow, we are obligated, responsible, and ethically responsible as a water company to go more into the advocacy space. And we have a small audience, and we do try to bring up, we have a blog and we put on our social, so we do advocate in some sense to get it out there, known what the water issues are. I would love to see us more in that space. We have the other thing is that we have a new filter that's being launched it was supposed to be this month, but probably in March, which is it's a high throughput filter system. It was designed specifically for humanitarian settings, refugee settings, so it can provide, it's capable of filtering 1,000 liters per day. So it provides 3 liters of safe water for 533 people per day. Wow. So I think once that's launched, it'll enable us to have a higher impact in IDP camps and refugee settings.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's great. No, I agree. I know there's definitely cities like Flint, Michigan, that are definitely going through a lot of issues when it comes to the water that they consume. And it would be great if a company like yours definitely creates a filtration system that eliminates all contaminants. And I definitely agree. When I was younger, growing up in New York City, we always thought, this is, tap water was good water, but, as I got older, I definitely noticed that there was a lot of issues with the water that we were drinking, not only at home, but also at school. So,
yeah, there's a lot of things that I didn't realize until I started working here. You consume a credit card's worth of plastic per week just for drinking water and beer. I think it's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild.
Hey, Michael, any other questions you have for Tara?
That covered most of what I was looking for. I mean, again, I know we're on a little bit of a time crunch here, so I'm good personally. If you have any more, feel free.
I actually want to turn it to Tara to see if Tara has any questions for us, knowing that we have a couple of minutes left.
Yeah, I'm just curious how did you find LifeStraw? How did you choose safe water as emphasis of your project?
Yeah. I could definitely start off with that one. So, at least for me, when it comes to safe water, we are all quarantining and going through Netflix, and there's a couple of documentaries on Netflix that talk about clean water and its accessibility, and how in the process of either desalination, and how to get that water into homes and into communities that might be running out of water, aka reaching a day zero. So for us, for me specifically, I never thought that was really going to be a big issue. Of course, there's water everywhere, but not all the water that you see you can drink, right? Either it's too salty, either it's too dirty, and less than 1% of the world's water is drinkable water. And to me, that was like really alarming, just knowing that how much we use water for irrigation, for bathing, for just hygiene in general. And they were talking about in this one documentary, this one episode on this show called Explained, how the cost of a burger should really be more than $3, right? If you think about the grass that needs water, the cow itself, the bread, like the overall process, is very expensive. Not only to the municipalities who transport the water from point A to point B with leaky systems, but also the farmers themselves and the amount of water that they need to consume at such a cheap rate, that doesn't necessarily address the transportation cost of that water. And I guess Katrina came across your company, and it seems like it's a very unique way to address that issue from a sanitation perspective, right? There's dirty water that you're looking to filter through as drinkable water, literally through a straw, right? And for us, I was like, that's very cost effective. Just looking at the other ways of desalinating water and just converting dirty water to clean water. So I thought this was an interesting opportunity.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate your time and being able to speak with us. It was a long way on our project, and we look forward to looking more into it and having a nice project about it.
Yeah, I would love to, if you have any, and I'd love to read some report or something, if that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And feel free to follow up with any additional questions if you think of anything.
Awesome.
You got it. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you both.
Enjoy your day.
Have a good one.
Take care. Bye.